Hello, hello. I learned my first Finnish word, terve. It's, yeah, I like it. Finnish has that kind of seductive rolling R like Spanish. Yeah? So I also have 7 trends, but I've coupled them in 2 and 5. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an unlikely venture capitalist. I actually started as a classroom teacher in a public school. But I kept on going to my principal and saying, we've got to build web platforms. And through a series of kind of failed and successful startups, I'm now at Learn Capital. If you don't know Learn Capital, we have the largest portfolio of education technology companies probably in the world. We're probably the most active investor there. Some of the highlight investments are Edmodo, Coursera, Bridge International, General Assembly, and there are many others. So the first mega trend is that global demand is aligning and outstrips and outvaries supply by a long shot. And you guys here, you need to go back home and start learning, because if not, you're going to be left behind by the innovation and knowledge economy. What this graph shows, this is the decade before 1990, and this is a post-industrial economy. What you see is job growth in white-collar jobs and job destruction in blue-collar jobs. This is the curve since 1990. This is an innovation economy, and all the job creation is happening at the highest skill and education level. And then in addition, over here, all of the income is going to the top, to the most innovative, to the people that know how to manipulate the tools of the creative economy. So individuals are more focused on education than ever before. Urban regions are also more focused on education so that they can be innovation hubs. Thomas Friedman wrote a book called The World is Flat, and he was saying that opportunities could go anywhere, which is true, but they happen to be concentrating in innovation hubs. So there was an article called The World is Spiky, which the data shows is more true. So as a city, it's never been more important to invest in your education and innovation infrastructure, just like here in Helsinki. By the way, in the United States, there's a lot of challenges and problems in public education, and we always think the Finnish have it right. And so I was told to go to Finland and figure out what they do so right. So I'm happy to say that I found out that they stay up till 4 in the morning dancing, and then they drink a lot of coffee. And so I'm going to take that information back. But anyway, so nations are also more focused on education because they have to continue to unlock economic growth. And before, we had some vague notion that like going to school was helpful for economic growth, but actually now the data is in. And if your school is productive, if people are learning, if they're scoring on their tests, there's actually an extreme correlation to economic growth. So nations around the planet are trying to figure out how to invest more in productive and effective education systems. So there has never been a better time to be an education entrepreneur. The second is entrepreneurial markets are creating an explosion in investable innovations. So more charts here. This is companies mentioned in TechCrunch. You can see an explosion going up here. Venture capital is surging in, and guess what? Companies are actually, the value of companies are outpacing the S&P 500, any other index, right? And it's headline news here. So the other thing is innovations are now scaling to meet global demand. This is the number of degrees granted in the world. In 1970, there were only 40 million. We're surging above 200 million. And we haven't even reached most of the world yet with higher education. And companies are now exploding, and they're instantly global, which is another theme I'll bring up. The other thing is portfolios are creating material momentum. People are actually creating real revenue. They have $100 million run rates, many of them. So there has never been a better time to be an education investor. So here are kind of 5 categories that we think about and that we look at, some thematic trends. So I'm going to go through 5 pretty quickly. The first is instantly global ed tech. We like to say that it took Oxford 1,000 years, Harvard 400 years, and General Assembly 4 years to become a global, recognized education brand. But we also have Edmodo, which is crawling around the world. Coursera was basically acknowledged around the world before it even started as a company. It was headline news. The next we call platform wars. So much like we're seeing with Facebook and social data, we also have the rise of platforms. What you see is you see viral growth, and then the company has to convert to be a data platform and get third-party developers, and then it converts into a distribution channel for information, applications, games, and content. This is happening now in real time with tens of millions of learners around the world. Edmodo right now is the leading platform, and it's unlocking opportunities for lots of other companies. So we have many companies in our portfolio that get its initial user base through the Edmodo platform. The second is the rise of the agile professional. You heard Brad talk about his wonderful company, General Assembly. They're serving agile professionals. These are people that change their job every 2 years. They moonlight, they do projects, they work in the gig economy, they freelance, and in the United States, there are 53 million of them. And the best thing about this market category is people get out their wallets, get out their credit cards, and they pay. So we're moving from a model where an education is like a house. You buy it once, it's a lot of money, and it takes a long time to pay off, but you've got it out of the way. And we've been in an economy where it's more like a car, where every decade you got to go back and get some certification, and it's kind of expensive. And we're moving towards continuous learning that is cheap or free. And these agile professionals are creating multi-billion-dollar companies. There are at least 5 that we're tracking right now. So another one is offline behavior change. It's not just about learning online. It's about creating real change in communities. It's about getting people together. So our company DIY is a great example of this. It gets kids out in the world doing real projects with each other. People organize into learning communities, and then just show evidence of their work and their creativity through the DIY platform. So the next one is new school designs. Some entrepreneurs, they're not happy with just being tech infrastructure. It's not big enough for them. They want the whole pie, right? And so in our portfolio, there's a K-12 school called Alt School, and there's a university called Minerva. These are started by tech entrepreneurs, veteran tech entrepreneurs with access to capital. Alt School had a $35 million seed round. Minerva had a $25 million seed round. These are tech entrepreneurs that are building this to scale, and they are going to try to take their school systems, their full stack innovation. I'm going to steal a phrase from technology, full stack innovation, and they're going to try to take that around the world and frankly compete with state-run systems, which is a little freaky. So real change is actually happening faster than we realize. A lot of people that watch the education space from afar ask me, like, well, when is real change going to happen? I mean, we've been talking about it for years. It's like never happens. It's happening on the ground. It's happening with tens of millions of users. It will be hundreds of millions of users. It will be billions of users. Our portfolio is now at 120 million users around the world, and we're just getting started. And industries can flip quickly. 10 years ago, all of us were still buying CDs, right? Now, we all get our music online, and not even that, we're not even paying for it anymore. We just subscribe to it, like Spotify, right? This has all happened in a decade. Online ad spend took 15 years, but now people don't even really think about advertising in print anymore. It's all about digital marketing. So industries flip very quickly. So these are the 5 kind of categories or megatrends we're watching. Instantly global companies, platform wars, agile professional, offline behavior change, new school designs. Thank you. If you want to get in touch with me, Twitter's actually the best way to do it. I'm kind of that guy that gave out too many business cards last week and don't have any. So Twitter's a good way to get in touch with me. I'm also Michael at Learn Capital if you want to reach me directly. Thank you very much.